Hello and welcome to the week 2, day 2 video lecture that is replacing our Wednesday meeting and setting you up for the rough draft. So as usual, it's going to go over some concepts, show some examples, and then we'll look at the upcoming assignments. So my first bit of advice to you is to recap the scenario that you chose and to consider what you like and dislike about the scenario. Studying the scenario again can be helpful. Professional tests are not always going to be objectively interesting, but internally within your company, these are the sorts of problems that require innovative solutions. And that's where you come in. So with PAD, purpose, audience, and design, you're integrating that into your rough draft. Specifically with purpose, it's why do you want to write? What is the end goal in communicating? What can be accomplished? How can it be stated quickly, articulately, and persuasively? You're going to utilize logos and ethos. So we discussed genre and audience in class already, but rethink audience. And once you know what you want to accomplish, that purpose, consider exactly who's going to read it, as you're going to have to mention their name, and think of how best to reach this person and convey the timeliness. This is an important issue they need to respond to. And timeliness is a part of rhetoric, kairos. Conveying this sort of rhetoric hinges on your tone. For the purposes of this class, we're going to focus on 3 different types of tone, and they're all useful in different ways. Some are better than others, and some are better left used in small doses, if at all. Consider what tone means in a professional setting. You can apply active voice when trying to call attention to something, like the picture of the dogs here. On the left-hand picture, the active voice sounds better than the right-hand version of the dog poster that is using passive voice. Passive voice can sound pretentious, and in this case, the passive voice sentences, they're a lot more awkward to read, and someone less familiar with the English language, or really anyone, might need to read the passive poster multiple times before they fully understand it. However, that doesn't mean you should throw away passive voice. It's very appropriate when you're creating rules, regulations, legal writing for business. So the picture below, the rules and regulations picture, you see how passive voice, it's working better there because it comes off as less accusatory when you're stacking it up next to the active voice rules. The passive voice regulations, it's using up more words, certainly, but there's a trade-off. It's less blunt for this type of professional writing, and then so it's working better than the active voice here. You should use passive voice in any situation where you want to sound like an objective third party, such as drafting a report, a scientifically based report, or it hinges on research, company handbook, contract. Active voice is really great for marketing. You want to engage, excite the reader, or maybe you have an existing relationship and there's a purpose in using the active voice there. So oftentimes any type of aggressive tone in professional writing should be avoided. That's why we didn't really talk about it. When drafting correspondence, tone is as important as your audience. We've talked about it, but I'm repeating it for a reason. I'm repeating it so it is drilled into your brain. Who you are writing to dictates how you're going to write the response, your tone, and what the audience needs to know, the purpose. The audience also dictates which type of document suits their needs and the purpose of the communication. And that's your password that you're gonna put at the top or the bottom of the rough draft that you submit this week. Going back to correspondence and tone. For example, like a superior or a colleague, they're gonna maybe expect a memo or an email to be updated depending on the issue. Whereas a client, they may expect a formal letter or maybe a short email depending on the circumstance. If there's an issue you're having with an employee, responding with a letter or a memo, it could meet the seriousness of the moment, or maybe you send out an email saying you need to meet and talk in person. I don't know. It all depends on what's going on and what's the role of that person and what's your relationship with them. Looking ahead, peer review is next week. It's going to be held on Wednesday because Monday is a holiday, so we won't be able to meet anyway. During class Wednesday of week 3, I'll outline the peer review exercise. If you don't come to class, you will receive a 0 for the peer review assignment, so please be there. Now let's look at Canvas so we can understand the rough draft a little bit more and how to compose it. And again, you should have a template ready to go for an assignment that you submit. So you're accessing understanding concepts first, but then we're looking at the 2 assignments. One is extra credit and one is required. It's broken down into parts, and the first part is working from your outline. You know who you're responding to, you know maybe what you want to use to respond to them, memo, letter, email. That can change for your rough draft, that's okay. But now you're responding to those people. On one doc, I want to know exactly what you would say, and you're attempting to make it look like an email or a memo or a letter. You're not only typing out what you're going to say for each person, but you're reviewing the e-text in USF Write. You're looking at samples you see in the clickable links here or from a slideshow or something, and you're trying to mimic as best you can what should an email look like. Am I starting over here? Am I skipping a line? Am I, you're definitely not indenting and you're not worrying about double spacing, but you're trying to make it look like an email. For a memo, are there parts you need to bold? There's a top header you need to worry about, all on its own. And unlike an email, you shouldn't be signing off of a memo. You don't need to put sincerely or your name. There's something else you do at the end of a memo, and you should be reviewing the USF text or thinking about stuff we talked about in class on how to end a memo properly. And likewise, for a letter, there's very strict formatting for business letters. It's okay to look up a template and copy that and attempt to make it look like a letter if that's what you're going to choose for that. But all 3 of your responses should be on one document. You don't need to turn in 3 different docs. You don't need to make them look beautiful. That means design is important. I want to see that you attempted, again, the design factors to make it look like email, memo, letter, whatever. But I'm not looking for a professional business letter header or you to change the font or anything. I just want to know the content of it, and you attempted something of design. So after you have typed it out, you save it. You're going to go to USF Rights and upload it to the correct space. You're going to go to Projects, and you're going to go to Draft Document Series, and you're going to submit it there. There's no space to submit it here, but before you even save, different spot, you need to include the password at the top or the bottom of your submission. You can put it here, or you can put it as the last thing, but it needs to be somewhere so you get your full range of points. And I have a reminder that I want to know how you're spending the more paper-based correspondences, like an email. I know how you're sending that. I don't know how you're going to send the memo or the business letter. So also tell me method of delivery alongside. For an email, I don't need it because I know, but I do need it if you're gonna be sending a letter or memo. I want to know, is it certified mail or is it attached to an email? Let me know. Same thing for memo, although it would be odd to send that certified mail, but are you going to attach it to an email, or are you going to circulate a paper copy during a meeting? Is that what you think needs to happen? Whatever is appropriate for that person and for the purpose, how are you going to get them the thing? I need to know that. These are things you should think about before you hit submit and you're looking over your draft. For my class, a rough draft does not mean I did some of it, or I did most of it, or I responded to person 1 and 2, but it's a rough draft, so I'm just going to do person 3 for the final. You're not going to like your grade if you do that, and for me, that's incomplete. Attempt the entire assignment. And for me, a rough draft means it's a little sloppy in terms of proofreading, or again, the design features are a little off because you're just typing it out in Word. But you have attempted the entirety of what's expected of you. So you submit it to USF Rights when you feel it's looking good. And you can check here for the rubric and looking ahead to, oh, I need to print it to bring it for peer review that's going to happen in class. And you're done with the rough draft. That's worth 50 points to September 5th, 11:59 p.m., and I don't accept it late. Second thing is tutoring, which is extra credit. And that can be face-to-face tutoring. You can go to the tutors in the USF Writing Studio, and I think they have online sessions you can book, and there's a clickable link. Or you can try online tutoring, Tutor Me, which is here in the Canvas menu of the course. And any tutor you go to, online or in person, they don't know about the assignment, they don't know about this class. So you have to have the assignment details ready of your Project 1 draft, and you can either ask them questions about it, and maybe they can help guide you, or you say, here's my assignment guidelines, and here's my draft. You upload it, or you give it to them if it's in person, and ask them for some feedback. They're not going to edit your shit, but they will give you some pointers and some feedback. Once you meet with them, either in person or online, you need something that says, thanks for your submission, or thanks for seeing me, some kind of confirmation, because they're not just going to send that to me. That's up to you to upload a picture of your confirmation, seeing the tutor here by September 5th, 11:59 p.m. I don't accept it late, but if you get it in on time, it's 5 points of extra credit. If you just send a tutor a question and it says, thanks for sending your question, that's enough too. I don't need to know that you actually spoke to the TutorMe tutor. Simply that you reached out and tried to use a service is enough to get these 5 points. So that's it for this video lecture. And if you have a question, you WhatsApp or you email me. And I will see you next Wednesday, and you'll have your printout for peer review.